Good afternoon, viewers and listeners of Concerned Citizens Media. Thank you again for coming back. I always enjoy you sharing your time with me. Uh, Today is November the 15th, 2022. I have just a little bit update to share with you. The first emphasis is on Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed speech to Ethiopian Parliament. Uh, so uh, he addressed different questions presented to him. It's not a serious discussion we see in a UK Parliament. The energy and the power from Parliament member. You don't see that much. This is a weak Parliament, and the questions given ahead of time. The Prime Minister knows. So this is the same tactic or strategy used in the past Parliament. So the Parliament is weak. We didn't hear any Parliament member calling for his resignation. No one is supposed to happen. They're supposed to ask him for his failed leadership. No one was courageous from all, all members to stand up to him and ask him, demand him his resignation. For almost, he never apologized. For almost about 800,000 Ethiopians, this is an estimate, it could be more, died in this war. The destruction of property, the destruction of the country's wealth, all lost. And all the rapes, mass killings, the looting still going on in Tigray region. So he never apologized for that one, and the parliament didn't ask him to resign. So he just slowed down. If you see the speech, he slowed down a little bit, more diplomatic, and instead of aggressive, you cannot see that one that much. He's more diplomatic. He addressed the serious corruption in that country, officials, and also he addressed Oromo Liberation Army fighters. Even he's willing to settle that issue through diplomatic means. But he didn't address one internationally repeatedly requested demand: the withdrawal of Eritrean forces from Ethiopia. He never addressed that, and he's just ignored it. He addressed the contested area like Wolkite and other issues, but he didn't address that the internationally demanded withdrawal of Eritrean forces from Ethiopia. And he didn't address accountability and justice for all the victims, for creating siege the whole population in Tigray for 2 years. I never seen that. Your own government, controlling all the borders, nothing can come in, nothing can come out. I never seen. I've seen war before during Derg and in other countries, but I never seen your own government, squeeze you in every direction to terminate you, exterminate you, or eliminate you. No basic supplies, no internet, no banking for almost 2 years. So he never called for justice and accountability. So that's the situation. We'll listen to videos I selected for today The first one is in English, no translation is needed. The second one is about Wolqait, the contested area, very serious one, especially still the Amaras are not happy about that one. They are also, try to align themselves with Eritrean and to do something. So that's the other one. And the third video is he addressing the Prime Minister of Ethiopia, Abiy Ahmed, is addressing OLA. That's in Amharic. Two in Amharic. The first one is in English. I have, thanks to Addis Standard, the translation. So I will read that one after the videos. So thank you again for coming back. Let's listen to the Prime Minister of Ethiopia, Abiy Ahmed, addressing the parliament.
Ethiopian Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed told Parliament on Tuesday that the ceasefire agreement between his government and forces in Tigray would be implemented honestly. The two sides signed a further deal in Kenya on Saturday on the full implementation of the truce reached between the warring sides some 2 weeks ago. There's no such thing as a good war or a bad peace. War is always bad, even if you're winning. You kill people and spit out dollars. There's no gain from it. We took the first step. We have discussed, agreed, and signed. We must keep our word by making our promise to peace a reality. Abiy added that the agreement was necessary to ensure that peace in the northern Tigray region would be sustainable. It's hoped it'll bring an end to the brutal 2-year conflict, which has left thousands dead, millions displaced, and hundreds of thousands facing famine. Both sides have pledged to allow unhindered international aid into the region.
Get the top toys at Kohl's and earn Kohl's cash while you shop. Find great deals on brands like Marvel starting at $11.99, Squishmallows, Fisher Price, and so much more. Save 20% off or even more with a Kohl's card.
Okay, this is about Wolqait.
ብዙ አነባለሁ ብዙም ሰማለሁ ወልቃይትን በሚመለከት የሚነገሩ ሽረባዎች ሴራዎች ኮንስፓይረሲስ ብዙ ሰማለሁ የኢትዮጵያ መንግስት በእነዚህ ሽረባዎች ውስጥ
As I said, I have a translation for this one from Addis Standard.
የሚወራው የሚናፈሰው አሉባልታ ውስጥ የኢትዮጵያ መንግስት እጁ የለበትም እኛ ደቡብ አፍሪካ ሄድነው ወልቃይት ወደ አማራ ይሁን ወደ ትግራይ ይሁን የሚለውን ለመወሰን አይደለም የፕሪቶሪያው ሳሚትም ይሄን ለመወሰን ስልጣን የለው ምን አገባውና ነው ኢትዮጵያ መሬት እዛ ሄድ እዚህ ሄድ የሚለው እኛ እዛ ሄድ ነው እንዴት ሰላም አመጣን በንግግር ችግሮቻችንን እንፍታ ለማለት ነው ለምን ወልቃይት ተስቦ እዛ ውስጥ እንደሚገባ አላውቅም ወልቃይት ብቻ እኮ አይደለም ሰሜን ሸዋ ላይ ኦሮሚያና አማራ ጥያቄ አላቸው እሱም ደቡብ አፍሪካ ሄድ ሲዳማና ወላይታ ብራቲያ ጥያቄ አላቸው እሱም ደቡብ አፍሪካ ሄድ እኛ ሰራ የለን ለምምድ የለንም ቦታው አይደለም የተስማማ ነው በኢትዮጵያ ህግና ስርዓት ይፈጸም ነው ከህገ መንግስት በፊት ነው የተወሰደው በጉልበት ነው የተወሰደው ላሉት የኔ ፍላጎት ያስተት እንዳይደገም ነው ዛሬ በጉልበት ነገ ታገሰ በጉልበት ከሆነ ዘላቂ ሰላም አያመጣም ወልቃይት ብንፈልግም ባንፈልግም የተወላገደ አማርኛ የተወላገደ ትግረኛ የሚናገር የሁለቱ ህዝቦች ድልድይ የሆነ ህዝብ ነው ሁለቱም ቋንቋ የሚናገር የተጋባ የተዋለደ ህዝብ ነው ወልቃይትነቱን ነው አትንኩብኝ ያለው እንጂ ከእንግዲህ በኋላ ትግራይ የሚባል ጋር አልገናኝም አልነጋገርም አላለም አይችልም ቢልም ይሄን በህግና በስርዓት ብንፈጽም ለወልቃይት ይጠቅማል ለአማራ ይጠቅማል ለትግራይ ይጠቅማል የሚጎዳው ነገር የለም በህግና ስርዓት እንፈጽም የሚለውን ነገር ከብዙ ተንኮል ጋር ማያያዝ አስፈላጊ አይደለም እርሶ እንዳሉት ነው ዛካይ ጥያቄ ረዘም ላለ ጊዜ ነበር ለዛ ብለን ነው ኮሚሽን ያቋቋምነው ከዚህ ቀደም ገልጫለሁ አሁንም ያንንም የነበረን አቋም በህግ አግባብ በምክክር በውይይት ይፈታ የሚል ነው ይሄ ማንንም ይጎዳል ብዬ አልገምትም ውጤቱን በጋራ እናያለን ዋናው ፍላጎት ግን ዘላቂ ሰላም ለማምጣት ንግግር ያስፈልጋል እርሶም እንደሚያውቁት ግን የተሰጣቸውን ስራ በትክክል የማይሰሩ ሰዎች የፌደራል መንግስት እያሉ ብዙ ሽረባ እንደሚሰሩ እናውቃለን ሂደቱን ላለማበላሸት ዝም ያልነው ሂደቱ መስመር ከያዘ በኋላ ለህዝብ ግልጽ እናደርጋለን ስራውን መስራት አለበት እያንዳንዱ ዞን እያንዳንዱ ወረዳ ተንጠልጥሎ ፌደራል ምናምን ሳይሆን ስራውን መስራት አለበት መሬት ላይ ያለው ያን ካደረገ ሌላው ጉዳይ እዳው ገብስ ነው ብዙ የሚያስቸግር አይደለም ሁለተኛ ሁላችሁም የትግራይ ህዝባችን ነው ትግራይና ህዝብና ቲፒኤልኤፍ አንድ አይደለም ስንል ኖረናል አይደለም በየሚዲያው በየአደባባዩ ህዝባችን ነው በእምነት በታሪኩ ከኛ ጋር ነው ብለናል አሁን የትግራይ ህዝብ ከፍላጎቱ ውጪ ከእሳቤ ውጪ ችግር ላይ ሲወድቅ ሲራብ ሲደክም እኛ ካልደረስንለት ማይደርስለታል እኛ ካላገዝነው ማን ያግዘዋል
That's why they call him a sheep, a wolf in a sheep clothing.
ስናሸንፍ ማገናመስ መሆን ጥሩ ነው ስናሸንፍ
very tough one when you see him speaking like this he look like he's a very nice very human kind but
ከዚህ ቀደም እኛ ቲፒኤልኤፍ እና የትግራይ ህዝብ አንድ አይደለም ስንል ተሳስታችኋል አንድ ነን አሉ አሁን ደግሞ ውይይት ሲኬድ
outside and his inside is completely different
ትክክለኛ ያው ሐሳብ ነው
that's a correct
distinction ትግራይ አንድ አይደለም
a wolf in a sheep clothing
ብልጽግና ይደግፉ ኢትዮጵያውያን
what he's saying about the grand people what is doing against them
አማሮች አሉ ኢዜማንም እንደዚሁ አንድ ህዝብ በጅምላው የኔ ብቻ ነው ማለት አይቻልም የትግራይ ህዝብ ግን ሰላም ፈላጊነቱን ወታደሮቻችሁ ባሉበት ቦታ ሁሉ ተረጋግጧል እንደሰማችሁት ዛሬ ወታደር ነፍሰ ጡር ያዋልዳል የአርሶ አደር ማሳ ያርሳል ኮሽሮና ውሃ ይሰጣል ይሄንን ወታደር ነው ያጠቃ ነው ብሎ የትግራይ ህዝብ ይናገራል ይሄን መከተል ያለበት ይሄ መልካም ነገር አይበለሻሽም ወይ ስለነገ ማንም ሰው ጋራንቲ
such humanitarian
እኛ ግን ዛሬም ነገ በተቻለ መጠን ለሰላም ታምነን መትጋት አለብን ብለን ነው መወሰን ያለብን እንጂ ምን እንደሚመጣ ከወዲሁ መናገር ያስቸግራል እና ድርድሩ በጣም ጥሩ ነገር ነው ስምምነቱ በጣም ጥሩ ነገር ነው ፍሬያማ ውጤታማ እንዲሆን መደገፍ ያስፈልጋል ሌላውንስ ተመካክረን ተወያይተን ተነጋግረን ተደማምጠን ፈርና ሲዘዋለን የሚል ዘላቂ ሰላም በሚያመጣ አግባብ ብናይ መልካም ይመስለኛል ትግራይ ገብተን ያየነው ነገር ህዝቡ ሰላም በጣም እንደሚፈልግ ውሃ እንደሚፈልግ መብራት እንደሚፈልግ ምግብ እንደሚፈልግ ከአማራ ወንድሞቹ ከአፋር ወንድሞቹ ከኦሮሞ ወንድሞቹ ምንም ችግር እንደሌለበት ነው ያየነው ይሄን ብናስቀጥል መልካም የሚሆን ይመስለኛል በበኩሌ ሰላም እንዲመጣ ነው የምፈልገው በመምጣቱም ደስተኛ ነኝ ሰላሙ እንዳይበላሽም በታማኝነት የምችለው ሁሉ ጥረት ማድረግ ነው የምፈልገው እናንተም እንድትደግፉ የምፈልገው በዛው መንፈስ ነው
Okay. One more about Oromo Liberation Army.
And over the last 13 years, I've recovered millions of dollars for car
Advertisement is
accident
giving
victims
headache.
just like you. I'm here to make sure that you get the justice and financial compensation that you deserve.
ሸኔን በሚመለከት በመጀመሪያ በሽብር የሚገኝ ነፃነት የሚገኝ ዲሞክራሲ የሚገኝ ክብር የለም ሽብር ነው በሽብር መንገድ ዘላቂ ጥቅም ማምጣት አይቻልም ሸኔ ግን እንኳን ለኛ ለሚጋልቡትም ችግር ሆኗል ማይጨበት ማይዳሰስ ፍላጎቱ ማይታወቅ ኮማንድ ኤንድ ኮንትሮል ስርዓት የሌለው የሚልኩት ሰዎችን ግራ ገብቷቸዋል እንኳን ሸኔ የሸዋ ሸኔና የወለጋ ሸኔ ያለኩን ሲዋጋ የሚውለው አንድ ኮማንድ አንድ ስርዓት በማይኖርበት ሰዓት ተነጋግሮ ችግር ለመፍታት በእጅጉ አስቸጋሪ ነገር ይፈጥራል ለኦሮሞ ቆምኩ ይላል። ኦሮሞን ያፈርሳል፣ ኦሮሚያን ያፈርሳል። በኦሮሚያ ውስጥ ልማት እንዳይካሄድ ልማት ቦታዎች፣ የልማት ስራዎች ያደናቅፋል። በዚህ መንገድ ይመጣ ነፃነትና ሰላም ያለ አይመስለኝም። ነገር ግን በእኛ በኩል አቋማችን ያው ነው። የተለየ ዱዋል የሆነ ፕሪንሲፕል የለንም። ለሸኔም ለከበደም ለተሰማም አንድ ነው። ታጥቀህ በኃይል የሚገኝ ጥቅም የለም። በፖለቲካ በንግግር ብቻ ነው ፍላጎትን ማሳካት የሚቻለው። ህገ መንግስት ላይ መነጋገር እንችላለን፣ ክልል ላይ መነጋገር እንችላለን፣ ስርዓታችን ላይ መነጋገር እንችላለን። በንግግር ብቻ መሆን አለበት፣ በኃይል መሆን የለበትም የሚል ነው የኛ አቋም። ትናንትም ዛሬም ወደፊትም ለሰላም በራችን ሁሌም ክፍት ነው፣ ለንግግር በራችን ሁሌም ክፍት ነው። ነገር ግን ሸኔ አካባቢ ያለው ችግር ሻርክ የባህሩን ከባቢ እሱ ያለበትን የባህር ጫፍ ሲያናውጥ ባህሩን በሙሉ ያናወጠ ይመስለዋል። በዛ አካባቢ ደግሞ ያሉ አሳዎች ባህር ሳይሆን ዓለም ተናወጠች ይላሉ። እንደዚህ አይነት ኢሉዥን ጥቅም የለውም። ንጹሃን በመግደል መኪና በማቃጠል የሚገኝ ትርፍም ጥቅምም የለም። በመዝረፍ የሚገኝ ጥቅም ትርፍም የለም። ሰከን ባለ መንገድ ማየት ጠቃሚ ይሆናል እና መንግስት ሰላም ማስከበር ግዴታው ነው። ሰው በኃይል ከመጣበት በክላሽ ከመጣበት ከክላሽ ባሻገር ለመወያየት ዝግጁ ከሆነ ግን በራችን ሁሌም ክፍት ነው። በንግግር በውይይት ሰው ህግ እስካከበረ ድረስ ችግር የለብንም። ህግ ሳያከብር ግን ሰው እየገደሉ ንጹሃን እየገደሉ አርሶ አደር እየገደሉ እንደ መብት ማየት ግን የሚፈቀድ አይደለም። ይሄን መንግስት ሰፊ ስራ እየሰራ ይገኛል። በተባለው ልክ ውጤቱ አመርቂ ባይሆንም ስራው ቀላል አልነበረም። አሁን ተጠናክሮ ይቀጥላል።
They look different online.
Jeez. Wow, that's a lot of rules. When you prefer dream vacation over a... As world leaders meet in Bali, they will greet...
Okay. I will come back to the G20 meeting, G20 summit in Indonesia, Bali. So, on the Oromo Liberation Army, as I said, he is very different person, very diplomatic. He's open for dialogue. He's open for dialogue to settle the issue with Oile or with other forces. This is a different approach. But what he's saying about Oile is not true. Oile is not against Oromos. Oile is not fighting the development took place or taking place in Oromia. No. Oile has issue with Prosperity Party officials, cadres, Prosperity Party security forces, and he is fighting, or this force, Oile forces, are fighting for Oromia, respect, dignity for Oromos, and the power to govern its own region. That is the objective, and it has command and structure, but it's not like the forces going around like gangsters. No, that's a lie. That's a lie. They have a plan, they have a command structure, and they know what they are doing, and there is no division, as he said, like between Wallagga Shene or Shoa Shene. These are already division strategy by Abiy Ahmed and his group. We didn't see this. All united, all RC, Bale, Shoa, Guji, all Oromos are united, and they are demanding justice, freedom, equality, respect, dignity for Oromos. They are fighting. you know, for two, as I said, one, to live with others and governing themselves and contributing their part for the federal government. That's another way. If that one is not impossible, uh, they want their own country, independent, freedom. So, but they are not giving priority for this one. They are giving priority to live with other uh, ethnicities in that country with respect, dignity, freedom, justice, and governing themselves and ending atrocities, killings, all genocide, drone attacks in Oromia. So they have command structure. They are very disciplined, or they know what they are doing. They know who they are fighting. They are not against civilians. They are not against any ethnicities. So that's a propaganda. But concerned citizens media appreciate his diplomatic approach, opening the door. If it's true, usually they are not trustworthy, but opening the door for dialogue to settle the issue is very good. About the translation I got on Welkite, let me read just one page from Addis Standard on the Welkite speech you heard in Amharic. It says peace talks in South Africa, not about which side Welkite should go to. Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed. Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed told lawmakers this morning that the Permanent Cessation of Hostilities Agreement, COHA, between the federal government and the representative of the Tigray regional state signed in South Africa, Pretoria, on 2nd November was not to decide on whether Welkite should go to Tigray or Amara, but to resolve the entire conflict in line with the constitution of the country. So Welkite is one of the contested area in the north, and the Amara Fano, the Amara militia are now in control, and also abusing the Tigrayans and under their control. Concerning Welkite, the Pretoria Agreement is aimed at bringing peace, not at resolving internal border dispute. It will be dealt with in accordance with the laws and regulation of our country, the Prime Minister said, adding that he doesn't know why Welkite is drawn in there. While responding to a question posed by a parliament, the Prime Minister said that the bilingual people of Welkite were the binding bridge for both the Tigray and the Amara peoples. Welkite, which is one of the areas constitutionally part of Western Tigray, is currently under the administration of the Amara regional state. It is considered as one of the thorny issues in the context of the war in Tigray and the annexation thereof the area by the neighboring Amara regional state. According to Article 10.4 of the Pretoria COHA, the two parties commit to resolving issues of contested areas in accordance with the Constitution of the Federal Democratic Republic of Ethiopia. The agreement, however, avoided directly raising the occupation of Western Tigray, which has seen one of the worst violence in the aftermath of the November 2020, which is described by the US as act of ethnic cleansing. A joint report by Human Rights Watch and Amnesty International has also documented crimes against humanity and ethnic cleansing in Ethiopia's western Tigray zone. That's why concerned citizens media call upon him to resign, not only him, or all officials who ordered the operation, who collaborated in this operation, including Branu Jula, senior military commander. And still, these people are under threat of ethnic cleansing. In his responses today, the Prime Minister too has avoided the reference to Western Tigray and instead mentioned only Walqait. He told lawmakers that unless the people of Walqait get the opportunity to self-determination, there will not be a lasting peace. It is only if we open the room for the people to decide on their own issues that justice could prevail. If we solve the dispute in accordance with the rule of the law, it will be beneficiary to Walqait as well as Amara and the Tigray regions, he said. If we keep saying that TPLF took it by force prior to the endorsement of the constitution, and we want to keep it forcefully, it is repeating the same mistakes and cannot bring lasting solution to the problem. The Prime Minister has brought other territorial disputes in Ethiopia and said that similarly, the Pretoria talks was not about discussing those issues. It is not just Walqait. Oromia and Amara have a question over North Shore. Should we go to the South Africa? Sidama and Walaita have questions on Blate. Should that too go to South Africa? It is not the place. What we agreed on is for it to be implemented according to Ethiopia's law and order. The Prime Minister pointed at Walqaites as distinct national group who, whether we like it or not, is a nation that speaks in articulate Amharic and inarticulate Tigrinya and is a bridge between the two peoples. Discussing about issues of referendum, he said that the people were displaced from the Amara side for the past 30 years. They lived migrating, he said, adding that if a referendum was called in their absence, it is a depleted population and they will be hurting. On the other hand, the Prime Minister said that many people have been displaced from the area by the current conflict in Tigray, and if a referendum was to take place now, the Amara region will have an advantage, he said. It is known that Walqait is Walqait, he said. There may be someone who went from Adwa. There may be someone who went from Debre Marcos, but Walqait is known, he said, whether in Atlanta, Australia, or Jimma, unless an opportunity is given to all there to decide about that place, it will not bring lasting peace. The people must be led to decide their own destiny, and that a solution will come only if we can give such democratic opportunity. I hope it works in a way that addresses those issues. That's why we took time, we waited. The Premier emphasized that the government will respect and is fully committed to implement the peace agreement it signed with TPLF. In winding up the conflict peacefully, there will not be any loss but profit, he said, adding that we will keep our words and implement the accord honestly. So that is a translation on the video you heard on Walqait. I see some addition, but I didn't on the video, but maybe on the whole video they have this uh, about Atlanta, Australia, Jimma. So I didn't hear this, but maybe Addis Standard had the whole video. So this one is also about this peace deal, signed peace deal from Congressman Sherman. Congressman Sherman press statement. This is very strong one, very strong statement. Let me read what it says. Sherman holds discussion on Ethiopia with National Security Advisor Sullivan. Washington, D.C. Congressman Brad Sherman, Democrat from California, released the following statement after his discussion with White House National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan regarding the situation in Ethiopia. Last Thursday, I had an extensive discussion on Tigray and Ethiopia with National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan, who clearly has an extensive knowledge of this tragic conflict. I urged that we continue to suspend AGOA and oppose international lending institution loans to Ethiopia until the following four fulfilled. So this is a very serious one. So one, commitment are kept to allow unrestricted food and medicine and the fuel necessary to transport them into Tigray. This is very important. The second one, there is a full and lasting end to fighting. Okay. 3, international human rights monitors and journalists are on the ground within Tigray and at all sites across Ethiopia where Tigrayan civilians have been detained in masses. Yes, still, according to different media outlets, just right now, about 4,000 Tigrayans in the hands of Amara Fano and Amara militia. Some of them killed by this group. Assassination is still happening. The fourth one, the internet is restored so that the world can hear from the people of Tigray. For a lasting peace in Ethiopia, Eritrean troops must permanently withdraw. Urge additional measures if Eritrea fails to withdraw, including sanctioning President Afwerki, introducing UN Security Council resolution condemning Eritrea, investigating Eritrean diaspora tax collection in the United States, and if necessary, a counter-shipping campaign on luxury goods. So this, we appreciate Congressman Brad Sherman, really. This is very, very strong demand, requirement on Ethiopia and also on the withdrawal of Eritrean forces. They must get out. They have no business. As I said, you like your president, you like the policy of Isaias Afwerki, you like your democracy, please stay away from Ethiopia. Keep your democracy, enjoy it, keep your independence. Don't destroy the lives of Ethiopians and bring back the properties you looted. The properties you looted from the Tigrayan peoples, including small items, kitchen items. I hope that day will come, the day you bring all the golds, all the valuable items you looted, and the minor items So this is very strong demand on Eritreans. And also he suggesting looking on the diaspora tax collection from U.S. Eritrean U.S. Citizens. Yes, this thing is also in consideration in I think in London or European Union. Isaias Afwerki is making money from citizens living abroad. So considering this is good, and if necessary, some restriction on luxury items. So this is very good, and it should be followed by action, by resolution in the U.S. Senate or U.S. Congress. He said we cannot get anything in the United Nations, as I said, but he's suggesting, introducing a resolution. That's a very difficult. As long as China and Russia is there, nothing can be achieved. But it's worth mentioning. So these are the 4 demands on Ethiopia to have a normal relationship with the global community and to restore AGOA. That's a $500 million every year. Abiy Ahmed is desperate to get that back. He's still negotiating, sending his lobby, and also try to get money from World Bank, IMF. Still, they are not getting. So, Congressman, we appreciate you for stating clear four demands to to before Abiy Ahmed gets any money from IMF or World Bank or from AGOA deal. So, thank you. The next one is about Ethiopia and Kenya signing, agreement to prevent, organized crime and terrorism. Why at this time? We don't know. Why they signed? Because of oil? We don't know. On November 14, 2022, the Intelligence and Security Institution of Ethiopia and Kenya agreed to jointly prevent terrorism, human trafficking, and organized crimes and terrorism, which are growing in East Africa, state-affiliated media reported. A memorandum of understanding was signed by Ethiopia's National Intelligence and Security Service Director General Temasgen Turuneh and Kenya's National Intelligence Service Director General Philip Kamuru. During the signing ceremony, Temasgen Turuneh said that Ethiopia has signed a cooperation agreement with most African countries to prevent terrorism and related security issues, and that is therefore possible to ensure peace and security on the Horn by strengthening the cooperation of these countries. Saif Salim Suleiman, PhD, head of the Kenyan National Intelligence Service delegation, also said that terrorism, illegal weapons, illegal money transfer, human trafficking, and organized crimes are threats to East Africa, so it is necessary to work with Ethiopia to combat these security problems in the region. The agreement was signed in Addis Ababa during Kenya National Intelligence Service delegation's visit to Ethiopia's Artificial Intelligence Institute, the recently inaugurated Science Museum, and Ethiopia's National Intelligence and Security Services Head Office, among others. Credit at this standard. Yeah, we appreciate the agreement to control human trafficking, some criminal activities, but I hope it will not target OLA operations. Okay, the last one for today's reading. Accelerating Adaptation Action in Africa. This is from U.S. State Department media notes. The government of the United States of America and Egypt co-hosted an event in conjunction with President Biden's visit to COP27. COP27 President Sami Shukri and the U.S. Special Presidential Envoy for Climate, John Kerry, presided over the event, which focused on the two governments' effort to accelerate climate adaptation action and support in Africa. Secretary Kerry emphasized the United States' commitment to help vulnerable countries and communities in Africa adapt to and manage the impact of climate change as part of the President's Emergency Plan for Adaptation and Resilience, PREPARE. This includes the United States' response to the UN Secretary General's call for early warning for all within the next 5 years, where we will help close the gap in Africa. These also include support that will enable the African Adaptation Initiative to launch a new food security accelerator, as well as support for the launch of Egypt's Cairo Center for Learning and Excellence on Adaptation and Resilience. In addition to the President Biden's announcement of over $150 million to accelerate PREPARE's work across the African continent, the event also includes announcement of over $100 million in pledged contribution from the private sector and philanthropy. Credit U.S. State Department. So that's all I have for reading today. I have a couple of videos left. Let's listen to that and end today's presentation. Thank you again for coming back.
By a leader who usually shies away from global diplomacy to focus more on issues closer to home. Now, as the war in Ukraine takes its toll on the global economy, including developing countries like Indonesia, Joko Widodo took his place on the world stage with a warning for his fellow leaders of the G20.
Being responsible here also means that we must end the war. If the war does not end, it will be difficult for the world to move forward.
The war in Ukraine is set to dominate the talks. It's the first time the group has met since the Russian invasion. And as many countries around the world struggle with rampant inflation and rising food and energy costs, many say the two crises cannot be separated.
We've got chaos in energy markets. We've got issues in food security. Clearly, the Russian aggression in Ukraine is the source of that, or most of the source of that.
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky addressed the leaders virtually, appealing to them to work towards extending a deal which allows grain and other food commodities blocked at Ukrainian ports by Russian ships to be exported. The original arrangement is set to expire in coming days.
I believe our export grain initiative deserves an indefinite extension, no matter when the war ends.
Russian President Vladimir Putin is not attending the summit, sending his foreign minister in his place.
All problems are with the Ukrainian side, which is categorically refusing negotiations and putting forward conditions that are obviously unrealistic and do not correspond to the situation.
The host of the summit, Indonesia, has repeatedly called for unity throughout its G20 presidency in the hope members can focus on the global economic recovery rather than what divides them and put aside tensions for the sake of the people they represent. In a meeting with the French leader, China's President Xi Jinping said the world has entered a new period of turbulence and transformation. It's a message that has been echoed throughout this month of diplomacy in Asia. While most leaders can agree the world faces many challenges, achieving consensus on how to navigate those difficulties is where their differences lie. Jessica Washington, Al Jazeera, Bali.
Phone charging slowly? This is the fastest phone
Okay,
charger
one
on the
more
market. There's a
about
90%
World Cup
chance
in
your
Qatar.
phone is already infected with this. There's a new groundbreaking discovery. I'm at the metro station in Hamad International Airport in Qatar. Now, above me, thousands of fans are going to be arriving on a daily basis for the FIFA World Cup. So today, I'm going to head to 3 stadiums by the metro and shuttle buses to see how easy it is to navigate around Qatar. Hi.
The matches will be played in 8 stadiums. Al Janoub, Thumama, Lusail and Al Bayt can be reached from the Red Line, Education City and Ahmed bin Ali from the Green, and Stadium 974 and Khalifa International from the Gold. This metro began operating in 2019 and can reach speeds of 100 kilometers an hour, making it one of the fastest driverless trains in the world.
This is Stadium 974. Now, it's a 30-minute walk away from Ras Abu metro station, or you can just hop on a shuttle. Now, it's named after Qatar's international dining code, but also the number of containers used to build it. All 3 lines, the red, the gold and the green, intersect right here in Mushayr station. So let's hop onto the red and go to Lusail's Q&B station. And this is Lusail Stadium. It's going to pack 80,000 fans and is going to hold the final to the World Cup. Now you can see some of the intricate details of the building behind me. This is actually inspired by the Al-Fanar lamp. That's the Arabic traditional candle lamp. Now this is just a jump off the shuttle towards the northern city of Al-Khor, where we have Al Bayt Stadium. Now this is built to look like a Bedouin tent, and inside is awash with colour with the traditional Sadu pattern. Again, an ultra-modern stadium with a nod to Qatar's history. So there you have it. 3 stadiums via metro and shuttle bus in one day. And I'm not going to end my day there. I've come back to Lusail Boulevard, which is lined with shops, restaurants, and has a real festival atmosphere.
Okay, so that's about spectacular structural view of the stadium and the metro link and how to get to the stadium for World Cup. I wish I was there. It's a very, very attractive stadium and all the arrangement for transportation. So that is the end of today, and I'm just gonna say the Prime Minister destroyed that country, still demanding for his resignation and accountability for the 2 years war, for mass killing, rape, destruction, looting of properties happening, in Tigray and the other areas. Responsibility, accountability, justice for the victim. I call upon, just like Congressman Brad, I call upon Eritreans for their immediate withdrawal. Give us a peace, give us stability, give back the properties you looted, and I hope you will face justice one day. The President Isaias Afwerki and his military generals, and who involved in a serious human rights violations, war crimes. I hope we'll see one day, whether in Ethiopia or in an international court. So we just hope for now. And but you know, uh, I admire the diplomatic approach for oil issues, for Oromo concerns, which is good. And we may need Kenyatta to involve this one too, to bring the two parties together to the table, settle the Oromo issues, and instead of destroying them with drones and airstrikes. So they're doing it in Oromia because they didn't face any accountability for what they did in Tigray. They are repeating the same crime, war crime in Oromia. So the parliament speech is very interesting. He addressed the corruption, oil, Wolkite, and other issues in a very cool way. And as I said, he's a wolf in a sheep clothing. You don't trust this guy. He must go. He must go. He failed the country. He failed Ethiopians. He made Ethiopia suffer through finance or through diplomatic relation, through war. That's all I'm going to say. I will be back with other news and update. Thank you for joining me. Stay safe. So long.